Imagine waking up after another restless night filled with racing thoughts and silent tears. You open your eyes and immediately feel that heavy, crushing emptiness inside your chest that simply will not let go, even for a single moment. The person you trusted the most, the one you gave your precious time, your unconditional love, your deepest secrets and carefully planned future to, has shattered everything with one single devastating blow. It could be unexpected betrayal, cruel lies that destroyed your trust, sudden cold rejection that made you feel worthless, or words that cut deeper into your soul than any physical knife ever could. The pain is so sharp and overwhelming that it truly feels like life will never be normal again. Your brain instantly triggers the exact same alarm system it uses during real physical injury. Your heart races wildly, breathing becomes shallow and irregular, appetite completely disappears, and thoughts spin endlessly in painful circles for hours without any relief. Many people in this exact moment lose all hope forever. They shut themselves off from the world completely, stop trusting anyone at all, and convince themselves that joy has left their life for good and nothing can ever fix this brokenness. But right now in this video, we are going to break this painful state down in the most specific, concrete, and practical way possible. We will examine exactly what is happening inside your psyche and nervous system when the closest people deliver such deep wounds. We will look at the precise neurophysiological mechanisms that betrayal activates, according to the latest modern scientific research. And we will discover how powerful, real biblical examples lived thousands of years ago clearly show in practice that even the deepest wound can become the beginning of true inner strength, genuine growth, and an entirely new, meaningful life. Stay with me until the very end. This is not empty motivation or pretty words. These are solid, proven facts from psychology and real paths that have already helped thousands of people emerge stronger from their darkest nights. Hello, friends. Welcome to the channel where we honestly combine practical psychology and the deep wisdom of the Bible. No sugarcoating, only what actually works. When we are betrayed, the anterior cingulate cortex of the brain lights up, the exact same brain area responsible for processing physical pain. Functional MRI studies from laboratories all over the world clearly show that social pain from betrayal uses the very same neural pathways as physical pain from a broken bone or a severe burn. That is exactly why it literally feels like your heart is tearing apart. This is not exaggeration. This is human biology. Today, we will walk through exactly 4 concrete stages of healing. In every stage, I will give you precise data from psychological research, names of scientists and specific studies, and powerful parallel examples from the Bible of real people who went through the exact same pain you are feeling right now. The first stage is the most underestimated, yet without it, nothing else can work. Most people stay trapped in denial, repeating to themselves, "I'm fine, I am strong, time will heal everything, I should not think about it." Psychologists call this experiential avoidance. Brené Brown, after many years of research and in her book Atlas of the Heart, proved with thousands of participants that when we suppress and refuse to name our emotions, feelings of shame, anxiety, and depression only grow stronger. The simple technique called affect labeling, simply naming what you feel, reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, within 60 to 90 seconds and allows the prefrontal cortex to regain control. This has been confirmed by dozens of fMRI studies. In the Bible, we see the same principle in the clearest possible example, Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. He did not pretend to be strong in front of his disciples or before the Father. He openly said, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." Matthew 26:38.
The Son of God allowed himself to fully experience the pain of the coming betrayal by Judas, the denial by Peter, and the suffering of the cross. Acknowledging pain is not weakness. It is the very first scientific and spiritual step, after which the brain begins to switch from acute panic mode into the mode of healthy trauma processing.
The second stage begins when the pain has already been acknowledged, but the psyche is still in complete chaos. Betrayal launches chronic stress. The structure of the hippocampus, which is responsible for memory and emotions, starts to change. Sleep cycles are seriously disrupted. A person experiences either constant hyperarousal or total emotional numbness and apathy. This is the classic reaction to interpersonal trauma described in trauma research. Look at the life of Joseph, one of the most detailed and longest cases of betrayal in the entire Bible. He was only 17 years old when his own brothers threw him into a pit and sold him into slavery for 20 pieces of silver. Then came the false accusation of sexual harassment by Potiphar's wife, leading to 13 more years in an Egyptian prison. Complete loss of status, freedom, family, and any trust in people. Psychologically, this was a full package of severe traumas: betrayal by closest family members, sexual harassment, unjust imprisonment, and total loss of identity. Yet Joseph did not become completely bitter. Even while in prison, he kept his inner connection with God and continued to serve and help others. When the moment finally came and Pharaoh called him to interpret dreams, Joseph said, "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." Genesis 41:16. Later, when his brothers stood before him as the second most powerful man in Egypt, he spoke the key words, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. This was not just a nice phrase after a happy ending. This was genuine cognitive reappraisal of trauma, the very mechanism that modern psychology considers one of the most powerful tools for recovery. When a person finds higher meaning and a solid inner anchor, the brain rewires its neural connections. Chronic stress decreases, cortisol levels return to normal, and a real sense of future perspective finally appears. The third stage is forgiveness. Dr. Everett Worthington, one of the world's leading researchers on forgiveness, conducted dozens of controlled experiments. His major meta-analysis, published in 2014 in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology, showed very clear results. Holding on to grudges for a long time directly raises blood pressure, disrupts sleep, weakens the immune system, and significantly increases the risk of depression and anxiety disorders. Forgiveness produces measurable positive effects. It reduces symptoms of depression and anxiety by an average of 0.3 standard deviations even after short programs, while overall subjective well-being and health indicators improve. This conclusion is based on a large meta-analysis of 83 studies involving more than 39,000 people. The most powerful example is Jesus on the cross. He was betrayed by his own people, beaten, humiliated, and crucified. And in the moment of his greatest agony, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Luke 23:34. This is not a call to forget everything and pretend nothing happened. It is a conscious decision to cancel the debt that the other person could never repay anyway. Forgiveness ultimately frees you. Science confirms that after the act of forgiveness, the activity of the amygdala decreases, heart rate variability improves, and inflammatory markers in the body normalize.
The fourth and most important stage is when pain is transformed into real growth. Psychology calls this post-traumatic growth. The pioneering research by Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun, together with more recent studies published in 2023 in the Journal of Positive Psychology, shows that after severe trauma, between 38 and 68% of people report significant positive changes in 5 main areas: a greater sense of personal strength, discovery of new possibilities, deeper and more meaningful relationships with others, profound spiritual transformation, and increased appreciation for life.
This growth is especially strong in those who rely on spiritual values and actively search for meaning. The book of Job gives us the most powerful biblical case study. This man lost all 10 of his children, his health, he was covered with painful sores from head to toe, and all his wealth. His friends accused him of hidden sin, and even his wife told him to curse God and die. Complete isolation, unbearable physical suffering, and the feeling that even God had turned away. Job went through all of this, and at the end declared, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." Job 42:5. God restored him double. This story is not a fairy tale for comfort. It is powerful living testimony that the deepest pain can become the solid foundation for a new, far more meaningful and stronger life.
Friends, if you are hurting deeply right now, please hear this clearly. It is not a final sentence and not the end of your story. Psychology accurately describes what is happening inside your brain and nervous system on the level of neurons and hormones. The Bible, through the real stories of Joseph, Jesus, and Job, shows us that millions of people before you have walked exactly the same path: betrayal, prison, the cross, loss of everything, and came out stronger, deeper, and with far greater purpose. Your pain was not in vain. It can become the foundation for genuine empathy, inner depth, and service that simply would not exist without this experience. You are capable not only of surviving, but of growing into a person whom others will later thank. Your story is still being written, and it has the power to help hundreds of people who are feeling exactly what you feel today. If this video spoke to you, please give it a like so the algorithm can show it to others who are suffering right now. Share it with at least one person who needs it, and subscribe with the notification bell. Every week we release new deep analyses where psychology and faith work together. You are not alone. Real hope exists. See you in the next video.